Mitikai Oyesu no my relations. That's all of you. I was not able to have anyone uh, with these recorded conversations this week. Got two for next week scheduled, but none for this week, so I figured it's a good time to have another commentary. I'm in my old studio. For some of you who, take for example, Instagram, you never saw me in this studio before, this room, but here I am. Finally got a haircut. Looks good, doesn't it? Gonna have to maintain this. So, I have always prided myself on how I treat people, how I listen to people, how I respond to people, everybody. I've always treated people with equality and dignity. The idea that so many people are claiming that I've been doing it wrong, and I should be ashamed of myself, and if I'm not ashamed of myself and I don't start doing it right, then I am, quote, bam, a racist. Ridiculous. And there's lots of other people like me, including lots of black and brown people who are being told that they've been treating other people wrong, and frankly, they find it offensive, and frankly, they find it as a reason to defend themselves against the slings and arrows. So listen, I have been watching, and I've been listening. Democrat Party saying that democracy is at stake, that the re-election of Trump would be the end of democracy and the creation of a new fascist United States of America. Yet my observations, this is not me listening to anybody else, my observations are that the Democrats are the harbingers of fascism, that they want to bring about the fascist apparatus. The Democrats lie by omission and commission, the politicians and the media pundits. For example, theoretical, but for example, I'm not high profile, but if I were, and my name and my thoughts and my theories were widely promulgated, this particular thought, this particular theory would not find the light of day on major media outlets like my hometown Philadelphia Inquirer, CNN, MSNBC, etc. Except maybe as commentary by one of their pundits on what an idiot that I am. And so many of the left are violent protesters. They hurl missiles, meaning bottles filled with soda and water and urine at police, solid objects. They hurl whatever they have, including rocks, at police. And then, mayors tell them to stand down and not defend themselves. Not attack the protesters, which they shouldn't do, unless, a policeman is actually is in threat of imminent bodily harm. But you have the assaults, the attacks on police. You have the attacks on people that don't believe what the protesters believe. You have the looting, the burning. You have the vandalism. Mayor Dark Soul from Chicago, only after, what was it, more than 120 shooting deaths in a single weekend in Chicago, finally said that these I don't even know what they were calling, what she called them, but these people, this was straight out criminal activity. Now, the criminal activity began, Mayor Dark Soul, when you allowed the, quote, protesters to be violent. There is no call for the violence. That is not democracy. That is mob rule. And you sanctioned it, and you allowed it. So you don't have the Democrat leaders committing murder, but you're allowing murder to happen under your watch. So many Democrat cities throughout this nation do not have a great record with with non-white, with poor non-white communities, skyrocketing violence and unemployment and underemployment and and hatred, violence. So many black men and black boys going out and killing other black men and black boys. So many black families without fathers in their homes, raising their children to be proud, productive citizens. Now, that's not the majority of black families in these urban areas. It's not. But it's to such an extent that it's having a deleterious effect. And when I or anybody, including black folks, talk about this, we get the labels. So the ultimate proof that the Democrats are the ones that are risking this country and to bringing the age of fascism to the United States of America. And the greatest proof that they're keeping black people down is that they're not willing to have these conversations. They do not have these conversations. They yell, they talk over, they slander, they libel, they point fingers. I was watching the highlights of testimony by Attorney General Bill Barr with the Senate subcommittee, and all of the Democrat senators, they ask him a question and they cut him off, and he very calmly and with laughter says, I'm trying to answer your question. I thought that the purpose of the hearing was to be heard, so I'd like to be heard. He actually handled himself very well. But I see this again and again. The Democrats are the ones who are holding democracy by the hair, by the scalp. Every single day, I am watching more and more people on YouTube post videos, mostly black folks, quite a few homosexuals, black and white, male and female, some brown, some Hispanic, saying, I've been paying attention, and it's not the Republicans, it's the Democrats, and I'm done with them. Did I say this yet? The purpose of these conversations I've been having is so that I will understand where you come from, and I give you the opportunity to understand where I come from, and then we find the common ground and move forward together. But since the Democrats are not having it, they dictate the terms of the conversation. And then if you go off script, if you don't agree to those dictates, you get cut off, you get yelled at, you have the same talking points repeated again and again and again. But no conversation about trying to understand each other. The conversations, such as they call them, is that you need to agree with what I say is right, and now I want to know how you're going to bring your level of understanding and your level of and your place in this world up to the standard that I say it should be at. Or down, actually, down to the standard I say it should be at. It's obvious it's down, but they use the term up. It's the conversations that need to happen. If you have so many black people, you just have so many people, period. I mean, I know quite a few folks who have told me enough that I've paid attention, and it's significant. Quite a few people that have told me black, white, male, female, straight, gay, that when people ask me who I support, Biden, the Democrats. But seriously, Mark, when I'm in the voting booth, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because the Democrats scare the bejesus out of me. I can't say it publicly because Charlie over there, he lost his job when he said it publicly, and Susie over there, she lost her reputation, and she was driven to a hospital. She got so depressed. So I'm not going to say it publicly, but I'm going to vote my conscience. This is happening, people. This is absolutely happening. And the Democrats have betrayed themselves as the enemies of democracy, the enemies of humanity, the enemies of anybody who do not allow them to have the power and to maintain the power that they have. The conversations need to happen, but if they don't happen, well, the country's in a bad spot. And I am trying, as ludicrous as it sounds, I am trying to move the country to a better spot. A lot of people are just giving up. They're not trying to fight against the tide, so they just go with it. But let me be clear about this. I am not fighting against the tide. I have my own little space here. And yes, I speak out against what I see and know to be absolute falsehoods and inequalities and indignities to humanity. Because I'm not breaking it down by black and white and brown and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Humanity, the human race. You want to talk about life matters, then have that dignity toward life, period. Absolutely, positively, black lives matter. Life matters within the sphere of humanity, within the sphere of this planet, within the sphere of this universe. Life matters. No exceptions. No one rule for one demographic, another rule for another. Never, ever. Not right, unfair. Where it exists, it needs to be called out and stamped out. So I'm not fighting against the tide. I'm sure I've read this someplace. I am the tide. And there's all these people with different tides, but I am a force of nature. I am strength. I am man. Hear me roar. No enemies, not fighting against the tide, simply seeking truth, living truth, bettering myself day by day, and inviting everyone else who wants to come along with me to do so that they too can better me. So that's my observation. Stay strong, America. We'll make it. If we listen, if we have these discussions. Peace. 4 fingers. Talk to you soon.